Hello and welcome back to another one of my FPL videos. I of course am the FPL train, and in this video I'm going to reveal my team selection for game week 30. Now in game week 30 I do only have one free transfer for this game week, and I have made it already, and there's a good possible chance that I could go for a -4 hit ahead of this game week. I haven't made that decision just yet, but it's playing on my mind, and it's been playing on my mind throughout this whole little international break that we've had going on. But yeah, finally we are going to have some Premier League action coming soon. I mean, I do hate, I do really hate the international break, if I'm being honest. It just doesn't get me going. Obviously the tournaments are great, but the old friendly thing, it's naff, isn't it? It's just boring. So yeah, before we go through all that, let's look back on game week 29 and see, I mean, you can already see anyway, how I got on. So the first thing, obviously, I mentioned it before, a couple of weeks ago now, I wasn't going to be free hitting in game week 29. I was going to say 39 then. It's not even 39 weeks. 29, and I didn't, and I came away with just 16 points. So nobody in my team got a single return, which, to be honest, I'm not too bothered about it, let's face it. I got a red arrow. It's only literally, it was a little small arrow, red arrow, should I say, which I'm pretty happy about. I'm pretty comfortable, if I'm being honest. I was about 58k in the world. I'm now just over 63, just under 64k. So not too bad, if I'm being honest. The fact as well, nobody obviously got a return, and the fact that I only got 16 points, you'd usually think, oh my god, here's the massive red arrow. But the fact is, if you did free hit, you didn't get anything really. If you had the likes of Chris Woods and Gibbs White, and one of them was your captain, you absolutely would have nailed it. But apart from that, yeah, a lot of people failed miserably. So we'll go through it then. I only had 9 players, which I said I was going to do. I didn't take a hit, which I was considering, getting rid of Foden and bringing in a player just to, bolster it up a bit. I couldn't quite decide who exactly that I really wanted, because at this point I already had 3 Spurs players. Now I did have 2 Villa players, so I could have brought in obviously a Villa player, but the player I wanted most was possibly Jared Bowen, but he didn't exactly get a return either, so I got away with that one, to be honest. So obviously Areola was my goalkeeper. Quite happy with the fact that he got 3 points. I know a lot of people who did free hit went for Flecken, who only got 2 points for Brentford. So yeah, I've got to be happy with the fact that he did get obviously those 2 points. He got a nice little bonus save point for me, which I've got to take that one. So yeah, I'm happy with that. It was a tough fixture for West Ham as well against Aston Villa. So yeah, take those 3 points. Defenders wise, I mean, honestly, I'm sick of Charlie Taylor. I'm not going to lie. He's just a complete waste of time. He's just a pain in the backside. So obviously Burnley, they were doing really well. They're a couple of goals. They were smashing it. Let's face it. They were beating Brentford. They hadn't conceded any goals. It looked like he was going to be getting a clean sheet there. It didn't happen. Not only they conceded, he got a yellow card as well. Come away with 1 point. It was great at one point where you got that. Well, you got 12 points at one game week. So long ago. It was 10 points, sorry, in game week 10. But apart from that, he's just been shocking. I mean, Burnley have been shocking, but they did win, to be fair to them. But yeah, only 1 point from him. Udogie got me only 1 point as well, which was disappointing. Nobody expected Fulham to win 3-0 against Spurs. So yeah, that was probably the biggest shock of the weekend, or that week, should I say. So yeah, that was disappointing. But obviously, Pedro Porro, a lot of people had him instead. So yeah, usually any other week, Porro would absolutely smash it. So I got to be really happy, to be fair, with that. And then Doherty, I mean, God, he went off at half time against Forest. I know they had like 3 games in a week, but I weren't expecting that. So that was really disappointing, to be fair. So I only got 1 point from him. Midfield wise, I mean, Douglas Luiz got a yellow card. Obviously, they conceded, so he came away with 1 point. That was frustrating because he was probably one of my best options. Well, he was probably the only player who possibly get me a green arrow. Didn't happen because obviously nobody really went for him. Didn't happen, and he just got me 1 measly point. James Maddison only got 2 points. That was disappointing. I mean, like I mentioned, Spurs were really disappointed. as was Son, who was my captain, and I'm sure he was majority of people's captain. So he only got me 4 points. So yeah, that was disappointing. And then only 2 strikers in Watkins and Tony. Ivan Tony got the yellow card, so that meant I only had 1 point off him. And then Watkins blanked and only got me 2 points. So just 16 points overall, which obviously it is shocking when you look at it. But yeah, it didn't affect my rank too much. So I've got to be happy with that, especially when you consider so many people free hitted that week. So yeah, I've got to be happy with that, to be fair. Now then, that brings me on to my team selection then for game weeks 30, and starting us off with the goalkeepers then. It's a tough decision this week. They played against each other, Dubravka and Areola, and I've gone for Dubravka purely just because he is going to be playing at St James's Park. If this was being played at the West Ham's ground, I would have gone for Areola instead, but it's not the case. We're going to be playing at Newcastle's ground, so I'm going for the Dubravka. Honestly, confidence-wise, I think this is going to be like a 2-2 kind of game. So yeah, I have zero confidence that I'm going to be getting any kind of clean sheet. With my defenders, then it's going to be a back 3, and honestly, my defense isn't in the best shape currently right now. So I do have 2 players currently flagged. Doherty, one being on the bench, and Charlie Taylor is on my bench. Both of them are away from home against the likes of Spurs and Chelsea, so not great options there. Both of them play for teams that do leak a lot of goals, so I'm kind of avoiding those 2. But then that does lead me with these starting 3. So first up here, I've got obviously Estupiñán. He's got Liverpool away. Am I confident that he's going to get a clean sheet? Absolutely not. No confidence there whatsoever. I think he's going to get absolutely... Well, there's going to be goals in this game, put it that way. I mean, the fact that if he starts, I guess I'd have to be grateful. I mean, he has started the last 2 games for Brighton, came off early against Forest, though. Got that clean sheet, which is a little frustrating back in game week 28. So, yeah, he probably will start against Liverpool, but, yeah, no confidence. The one player I have got some confidence, but not a lot, just because of what happened against Fulham, is Udogie, who does have Luton at home. There's a good chance there they could come away with a clean sheet, and I'm really hoping that is the case, because I could really do with that, because my final defender here, Gabriel, has got Man City away. Now, he's flagged up as well, but I think he will play against Man City. You're probably wondering why I've gone for Gabriel ahead of the other 2 on the bench, just because Arsenal have the best defence in the league. So there is a kind of a decent chance that this could be like a shocker of a 0-0 maybe, or a smash and grab maybe from Arsenal, but yeah, am I going to drop him for the likes of Taylor and Doherty? No, not really. Maybe Doherty, possibly. But for now, I feel comfortable this will be my 3 at the back. Now, I did mention I could go for a -4 hit, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to be touching my defence. So then, onto my midfielders now. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The obvious change that I've made, the transfer that I've already made, is already been confirmed. And that is the fact that I have brought in Mohamed Salah into my team for Douglas Luiz. It's the first time this season I've had Salah in my team, which is incredible because the guy's got like 15 goals and 9 assists, and I'm not at a single point off him. So yeah, I've decided to bring him in, and decided the right thing to do was finally get rid of Douglas Luiz, who was originally going to be a short-term kind of option for me, but he did so well. I couldn't believe how well he did for me in the end. He got 9 goals and 5 assists. He was absolutely incredible for me. But I do feel like now is the time to get rid of him. I sold, obviously, Erling Haaland in game week 29. And I figured, you know what? I'm not going to bring him straight back in, because he's got 2 difficult fixtures, Haaland has. He's got Arsenal in game week 30. And then he's got Villa. Whereas Mohamed Salah's got 2 nice fixtures coming up against the likes of Brighton and also Sheffield United. Now, my original plan was to bring him in for game week 31 against Sheffield United, and then sell Son, because I wanted Son for game week 30. But because I sold Haaland, I've got all this money. I figured, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for another week without Erling Haaland. So, yeah, it is a gamble, but I'm pretty confident that Salah's going to do well. And he will be my captain as well for game week 30. I've then got the double up in midfield of the Spurs guys in both James Maddison and Son. Luton at home, you've got to expect really they're going to score goals, because Luton do concede a lot of goals, and I'm confident, I'm comfortable with it. I do think they could do, I mean, hopefully they do much better than they did in the last game week, because obviously that game week against Fulham was shocking, and hopefully they finally make up for that terrible game that they've just had. Then that leaves me then with Phil Foden. So I've got Saka currently there sitting on my bench just because he is currently away from home, where Foden is playing at home. But I might change that. So I mentioned before that I'm looking at possibly doing a -4 hit in this game week. And what I'm thinking about doing is taking Phil Foden out. Now, I brought in Phil Foden quite a while ago now. I brought him in game week 19 for Everton, and he went on that unbelievable run. Absolutely smashed it. Obviously, he got the hat-trick against Brentford. He did really well for me. I brought him way back when he was only 7.6 million. And I'm thinking, you know what? I might sell him. I might gamble and just sell him now. He's got 2 tough fixtures. Blanks in game week 34 anyway. And I might bring in Cole Palmer. He's got Burnley at home. That's a great fixture. He could cause Burnley chaos in that game week. He could come away with double-digit figures. So I'm really contemplating bringing Palmer in for that game week, because Chelsea's fixtures aren't exactly the worst from now to the end of the season. I just think Palmer's a better option than both Phil Foden and Saka. And if that game ended 0-0, you know, you're only getting 3 points. If, you know, Palmer gets a penalty, because let's face it, he's taken penalties after what happened with Sterling, then he could absolutely destroy Burnley. So currently I've got Foden in my team, but I could seriously consider, well, I am seriously considering bringing Palmer in for a -4 hit. And then that leads me on to my front three then. It's weird that you know Erling Haaland there. But yeah, I've got Dominic Solanke first up on here. Everton at home. Decent fixture. The fact that it's at the Vitality ground as well. I think he's going to score goals. I hope he scores goals, because, you know, he's been incredible for me. And his next 3 fixtures are great. So yeah, Solanke is definitely a must-have in my team currently for this game week. Ollie Watkins, I mean, he's got, you know, a tough fixture to be fair. It's a derby against Wolves. He's blanked the last 2 games now against West Ham and Spurs. Hopefully he can turn things around. He is playing at Villa Park, so that is kind of an advantage for him. So you never know. But to be fair, I'm not actually bothered if he does blank, because he's 56% owned. It doesn't really bother me. Most people who are in and around me in terms of rank own Ollie Watkins, so it won't affect me at all if he blanks. Whereas Ivan Toney, he's the least owned out all my front three. He's only 11% owned currently right now. Man United at home. Now, on paper, that is a tough fixture, let's face it. But they're playing at home. I do think they're going to score goals in that game. And then after that, their fixtures are incredible. But I really hope he absolutely smashes it in game week 30, because he is the least owned player that I've got, especially in my attacking sense. And he could absolutely destroy it and boost my rank up massively. So fingers crossed Tony absolutely kills it against United. So yeah, that is how my team is looking for game week 30. Obviously, I could change it. We'll take that -4 and bring in Palmer for Foden. But yeah, that is the only difference will be from the deadline if I do make that decision. Obviously, my defence isn't ideal, but my attackers are pretty decent. I'm pretty satisfied with my team for this game week. Let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you guys are doing for game week 30. Please don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next one.